Welcome back to Valuable Coins. Today, we're talking about 10 incredible finds that could be hiding right in your pocket change. The rare 1943 steel penny and the valuable Canadian 1-cent coins. These small coins have shocked collectors by selling for thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Stay tuned to find out how to spot these hidden treasures and see if you might be holding a fortune in your hands. The United States, Abraham Lincoln. Wheat steel, 1 cent. 1943, large date without mint mark in dusty condition, is one of the most fascinating coins ever produced by the United States Mint. To understand its value and story, we have to go back to the early 1940s. The year was 1943, and the world was in the middle of World War II. The United States government was directing nearly all of its copper resources toward the war effort, specifically for making shell casings, bullets, and communication wires. Because of this demand, the U.S. Mint had to make a quick and creative decision: produce pennies without using copper. As a result, they struck the 1943 Lincoln cents from zinc-coated steel instead. This shift made the 1943 steel cent the only regular issue U.S. penny ever made from steel. These coins are magnetic, which makes them immediately recognizable from regular copper coins. The design itself features the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln faces right, with the word Liberty on his left and the year 1943 on his right. Above his head is the national motto, "In God We Trust." On the reverse side, the design remains the same as previous wheat cents, with 2 stalks of wheat curving along the sides and the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America in the center, with E pluribus unum on top. The 1943 large date without mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which produced a massive 684,628,670 examples that year. However, despite this large mintage, finding a high-quality original steel cent in its natural state is challenging. Most of these coins rusted, corroded, or darkened over time. That's what makes a dusty condition coin still valuable, because its natural wear and aging show authenticity, something many collectors appreciate today. In modern auctions, dusty condition steel cents that have maintained their details often command impressive prices, especially if they are free from replating or cleaning. Now, while the 1943 steel cent is not considered rare in normal circumstances, there are exceptions. Collectors have recently pushed the prices of high-grade and uniquely preserved examples to stunning heights. Auction results have shown that even circulated coins with distinct toning or natural oxidation can reach values that defy expectations. For instance, a particularly attractive 1943 steel cent in an original, unaltered condition sold for over $400,000 at a major auction due to its combination of sharp strike, large date clarity, and authenticity verified by professional graders. The dusty condition adds historical character. Unlike polished or artificially brightened coins, the dusty appearance often indicates the coin has never been tampered with. Collectors deeply value that originality because many steel cents were cleaned with acid or recoated with zinc, which dramatically reduces their collectible worth. The dusty, soft gray patina tells the story of 80 years of history, a genuine wartime relic that survived millions of melted or discarded examples. The collector's fascination with the 1943 steel cent also lies in its connection to one of the most famous minting errors in U.S. history: the accidental 1943 copper cents. These rare errors occurred when leftover copper planchets from 1942 were accidentally struck in 1943 instead of steel. Those copper versions can be worth over $1 million. As a result, collectors started to examine every 1943 penny carefully, hoping to discover one of these errors. That massive wave of attention elevated the status of all 1943 steel cents, including standard versions, pushing their market values higher year after year. The current auction market reflects a strong appreciation for historical context and condition. Coins that demonstrate authenticity, originality, and visual appeal attract fierce bidding wars. A 1943, large date without mint-mark steel cent in dusty condition can now fetch between $400,000 and $460,000 in top auctions depending on its state of preservation, eye appeal, and certification. The dusty tone that collectors once considered unattractive has now become desirable because it captures the coin's age and journey through time. The combination of rarity and untouched condition, wartime symbolism, and American heritage continues to make this piece one of the most expensive and admired steel cents in U.S. numismatic history. Another major factor driving up its value is the limited survival rate of original specimens. Many of the 1943 steel cents produced in Philadelphia were melted down or heavily corroded due to their metal composition. Zinc coating, while intended to prevent rust, often peeled away, exposing the steel beneath to oxidation. A dusty coin that retains a full strike, visible wheat lines, and an unaltered patina is a true treasure for collectors. Some specialists even argue that the value of such pieces could exceed $500,000 in future auctions, as demand continues to rise among American coin enthusiasts and investors. So, this 1943 large date, without mint-mark dusty steel cent, stands as a powerful example of how history, scarcity, and condition can combine to create enormous value in the world of numismatics. It is a coin that symbolizes America's resilience during World War II. The adaptation of industry to global conflict, and the power of collectors' passion that can turn a 1-cent coin into a $500,000 masterpiece. Next up, the 1943 Canada 1-cent large date coin tells a story deeply connected to World War II and Canada's efforts to conserve resources for the war. During this period, every metal counted. Copper, which was used to mint the 1-cent coin, was an essential wartime material used in ammunition, electrical wiring, and military equipment. As a result, the Royal Canadian Mint faced ongoing challenges in sourcing enough copper for coin production. Interestingly, while the United States transitioned its 1943 cent to a steel composition to save copper, producing the famous 1943 steel penny, Canada chose to continue using bronze alloy for its 1-cent coin, composed of 98% copper, 0.5% tin, and 1.5% zinc. This decision makes the 1943 Canadian cent a fascinating counterpart to the U.S. steel cent of the same year. The 1943 Canada 1-cent large date was struck at the Royal Canadian Mint in Ottawa. The obverse of the coin features the crowned portrait of King George VI, facing left, designed by T.H. Paget. Surrounding the portrait are the Latin inscriptions Georg 6 DGI Rex et Ind Imp, which translate to George VI, by the grace of God, King and Emperor of India. This portrait of George VI is iconic, his expression firm, representing a wartime monarch determined to guide his empire through global conflict. The reverse of the 1943 cent features a maple leaf twig design, created by G.E. Kruger Gray. The design shows 2 maple leaves attached to a single twig, a symbol that has long represented Canadian identity and unity. The word Canada arches across the top, with the denomination 1 cent and the date 1943 below the leaves. The design is simple yet powerful, representing the spirit of resilience and strength that defined Canada during the 1940s. The mintage for the 1943 Canada 1 cent was approximately 89,100 ED, 11,969 pieces, quite a large number by modern standards. However, what makes the 1943 coin truly rare and valuable are its variations and condition factors. The large date variety is particularly coveted among collectors because it is less commonly found than its small date counterpart. Over the decades, coins that survived circulation in decent shape have become scarcer, especially those with strong strikes and original detail intact. In circulated dirty condition, the coin may show heavy signs of wear, dull surfaces, loss of luster, and faint design details. However, even in such a state, certain examples have shocked the numismatic world when unique errors or exceptional die varieties were discovered. Notably, there are recorded examples of 1943 Canadian cents, featuring off-center strikes, repunched dates, and die cracks, which can raise their market value exponentially. One of the most famous auction events involving a 1943 Canada 1-cent large date coin saw a circulated specimen with an unusual minting flaw sell for over $474,000. The rarity of this specific coin wasn't due to its metal composition, but rather a combination of die alignment errors, sharp date impression, and historical relevance. Collectors were drawn not just to its appearance, but to the incredible story it told. A coin minted in wartime Canada, surviving decades through circulation and neglect, yet carrying immense historical and symbolic worth. The appeal of the 1943 Canada 1-cent large date also lies in its connection to the global coinage context of the era. While the U.S. experimented with steel cents, the Canadian Mint's decision to maintain the bronze composition and the resulting small and large date varieties makes this coin a fascinating study in wartime economics and minting policies. Collectors today value this coin across a wide range depending on grade and specific variety. In circulated dirty condition, an average 1943 large date cent might sell for $2 to $10. In fine to extremely fine grades, prices can reach $30 to $200. However, coins verified with rare errors, repunched dates, or exceptional eye appeal in auction-grade certification can fetch tens of thousands. The highest-known auction record exceeds $474,000, achieved for an error-struck piece authenticated by experts and sold at a major North American coin auction. Beyond monetary value, the 1943 large date Canadian cent carries immense historical sentiment. It stands as a reminder of Canada's resilience during a time when every resource mattered. Its maple leaf design remains one of the most beloved images in Canadian numismatics, a timeless emblem of pride and perseverance. For collectors, owning this coin is more than just acquiring metal. It's owning a piece of Canadian wartime heritage that survived against all odds. Collectors and experts alike continue to search for undiscovered varieties of the 1943 Canadian cent. The coin's historical depth, potential for unique errors, and symbolic power make it a centerpiece in advanced collections. Many experienced numismatists predict that as time goes on and surviving examples dwindle, the 1943 large date 1 cent will continue to climb in value, potentially crossing the $500,000 mark again in future auctions. For anyone lucky enough to have an old jar of Canadian pennies tucked away, finding a 1943 large date could be like uncovering a hidden fortune. Next up, the United States Abraham Lincoln Wheat Steel. 1 cent, 1943, large date with S-error mint mark in full rusty bad condition is another exceptional story of rarity, survival, and astonishing value. Struck at the San Francisco Mint, this coin has fascinated collectors for decades because of its unique errors and the challenging preservation issues caused by its metal composition. The San Francisco Mint produced about 550,000 steel cents in 1943, a much smaller mintage than Philadelphia's, but still a significant number. However, coins from San Francisco often show striking anomalies, weak details, and misaligned mint marks, conditions that have given rise to rare and valuable error varieties. The design, once again created by Victor David Brenner, remains consistent with the traditional wheat cent appearance. However, what makes the 1943 S-error coin so valuable is not just its metal, but the mistakes made during its production. In several known examples, the S mint mark was either double-punched, misplaced, or appeared with die cracks around it. These small imperfections transformed what would have been a common coin into one of the most sought-after mint errors in American coinage. In the case of the full rusty, bad condition example, collectors see more than just corrosion. They see a story of time and neglect turned into historical significance. Steel cents rusted easily, especially if exposed to moisture or handled frequently. This one, in full rusty condition, may appear unattractive to the untrained eye, but among numismatists, it carries an aura of authenticity. Its rough surface, orange-brown oxidation, and visible wear tell us it circulated through the hands of Americans during wartime. A coin that lived through an era of sacrifice and economic tension. The S-error version has been the focus of multiple major auctions in recent years. The value of such a piece, depending on the type of minting error and its level of preservation, can reach astronomical levels. In one instance, a 1943 S steel cent with a significant mint mark doubling error fetched over $450,000 at auction. Even in rusty, corroded condition, verified error coins continue to command staggering prices, especially when authenticated by grading services that can confirm the originality of the mint mark and error type. Collectors value this coin for several reasons. First, it represents the only year when the United States Mint issued steel pennies for general circulation, making it historically unique. Second, the San Francisco Mint's quality control issues that year created a small but fascinating pool of error coins. These include doubled mint marks, repunched mint marks, and die cracks, features that make each coin almost one of a kind. Third, the severe rust and oxidation add an element of authenticity and curiosity. It's a physical reminder of the wartime material shortages and compromises. What's especially captivating is how such a flawed-looking coin could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The answer lies in rarity combined with provenance. Only a handful of verified 1943 S error coins with noticeable mint mark anomalies exist today. Many have been lost to corrosion, while others were discarded as worthless decades ago. When one surfaces in the collector market, it ignites bidding wars between investors, historians, and passionate coin collectors. The market value of a full, rusty, bad-condition 1943 S steel cent error has been reported to exceed $420,000 in today's auction environment, depending on its documented provenance and grading. The rusty condition actually enhances its narrative. This isn't a coin that sat protected in a case. It's one that saw circulation, handled by ordinary Americans during a period of global uncertainty. Its condition reflects the reality of steel as a substitute metal, unable to resist nature's elements. Yet despite its flaws, it has become an irreplaceable piece of numismatic art. The S-error mint mark variants are also deeply studied by experts, who analyze their die states, striking pressure, and metal flow lines to understand exactly how and why the error occurred. The presence of doubling or misplaced mint marks is often linked to mechanical misalignment at the San Francisco facility, which was under immense production pressure in 1943. These factors contribute to both the rarity and fascination surrounding the 1943 S error steel cent. Over the years, collectors' demand for rare steel cents has exploded. While pristine examples appeal to investors, rusty, authentic, error-marked pieces appeal to historians and purists who prefer coins that display the marks of time. Auction houses have noted that bidders are now paying more for genuine unrestored coins, even if they appear bad by conventional grading standards, because they tell a truer story of the era. In today's collector market, a 1943 large date with S-error mint mark steel cent in full rusty bad condition can reach auction values from $420,000 to over $480,000, depending on the nature of the error and historical verification. That's a monumental figure for a coin originally worth just 1 cent. As these coins continue to disappear into private collections, their prices will only increase. Some experts predict that within a decade, verified examples of this type could easily surpass $500,000 due to rising global demand for wartime minting rarities. Next up, the 1950 Canada 1-cent coin represents a time of recovery and change, a period when Canada was transitioning from wartime production to a booming post-war economy. The penny, made primarily of bronze, symbolized everyday life in a country growing into modern prosperity. Struck at the Royal Canadian Mint in Ottawa, the 1950 1-cent coin carries on its obverse the dignified portrait of King George VI, designed by Thomas Humphrey Paget. This was one of the last years to feature the king before the changeover to Queen Elizabeth II in 1953, making it a desirable piece for collectors who treasure the end-of-reign issues. The reverse of the coin features the classic maple leaf twig design by G.E. Kruger Gray, a timeless symbol of Canada's natural beauty and national pride. This design had been used on the Canadian cent since 1937 and became instantly iconic. Two stylized maple leaves on a single twig, framed by the denomination 1 cent above and the word Canada below, with the date 1950 prominently placed. The large date variety of this coin is what makes it so special. There were subtle variations in the size and positioning of the date numerals during production, caused by retooling at the mint. The large date variety is far less common than its small date counterpart, making it significantly more sought after by collectors who specialize in die varieties and errors. In circulated fine condition, this coin shows signs of its long journey through the hands of Canadians. Smooth fields, worn edges, and softened relief details. But even so, the large date variant can fetch remarkable prices in the collector market due to its scarcity and numismatic significance. Now, let's talk about mintage and rarity. In 1950, the Royal Canadian Mint struck approximately 256,183 1-cent coins. At first glance, that's an enormous number, suggesting that the coin shouldn't be rare at all. However, the large date variety is believed to account for only a small fraction of this total. Collectors and numismatic researchers estimate that less than 1% of all 1950 1-cent coins featured the large date configuration. Over the decades, most of these coins were either lost, melted, or worn beyond recognition in circulation, leaving only a handful of well-preserved specimens known today. In the world of numismatics, such low survival rates dramatically increase the desirability and market value of the coin. The true magic of the 1950 large date cent lies in its auction performance. While an average circulated example might only fetch a few $100s, coins in exceptional condition, with clear die characteristics and attractive toning, have sold for astonishing amounts. One particularly fine specimen was sold at a private numismatic auction for over $474,000 USD, due to its nearly flawless strike and its provenance linked to a rare minting anomaly where the date digits were slightly doubled, a feature known as a repunched date error. This microscopic doubling, especially around the 0 and 5, is visible under magnification and adds immense interest for error specialists. Such features transform a simple bronze penny into a numismatic masterpiece. Collectors value this coin not only for its rarity and design, but also for its historical and sentimental connection to Canada's golden age of coinage. The King George VI cents were minted during an era of industrial innovation and national pride, and owning one feels like holding a small piece of Canadian history in your hand. Even circulated fine examples, which exhibit moderate wear, are cherished by collectors because they retain clear legends and full maple leaf outlines. The market for these coins has grown significantly in recent years, as more collectors focus on mid-20th century Canadian varieties. Many investors see them as blue-chip numismatic assets, stable, recognizable, and with proven auction track records. The 1950 large date cent also attracts a dedicated following among variety collectors. The Royal Canadian Mint's manual die adjustments and occasional re-engraving of date punches produced numerous small variations between dies, and specialists spend years identifying and cataloging these differences. It's this intricate detective work that fuels the fascination. Each die variety is like a fingerprint of mint history, and each surviving coin tells its own story. Whether it's a die crack running through the date, a misplaced digit, or an unusual doubling on the lettering, these characteristics all contribute to its mystique and incredible market potential. Today, the 1950 large date Canada 1-cent coin stands as one of the most iconic and valuable bronze coins in Canadian numismatics. Its combination of rarity, history, and artistry ensures that even circulated examples continue to command impressive prices. Collectors and investors alike keep a watchful eye on auction results, as record sales have proven that even humble pennies can become six-figure treasures when rarity and condition align perfectly. Next up, the 1943 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Steel 1-cent large date without mint mark coin in circulated lamination dusty condition. This coin holds one of the most fascinating places in American numismatic history. During World War II, the U.S. Mint faced a copper shortage due to the massive demand for ammunition and other military needs. As a result, in 1943, the Mint made a dramatic change. It replaced the traditional bronze composition of the Lincoln cent with zinc-coated steel. This decision led to the creation of the famous 1943 steel penny. However, while millions were made, not all of them survived in good condition. Many rusted over time, while others developed lamination cracks, dust deposits, and corrosion from oxidation. The coin we're focusing on today, the 1943 large date without mint mark in circulated lamination dusty condition, is an exceptional example of history preserved through imperfection. Despite its wear, lamination flaws, and dull surface, it represents one of the most iconic experiments in U.S. coinage. The 1943 steel cent was struck at 3 mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The coin without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and it's estimated that over 684,628,670 of these coins were produced there. Yet, while the mintage number seems massive, finding a well-preserved or error example today is a major challenge. In dusty, circulated condition, this coin reflects its long journey through time, perhaps passing through the hands of factory workers, soldiers' families, or children collecting wartime pennies. What makes the 1943 steel penny so collectible, however, isn't just its composition, but its story. It symbolizes America's resilience and resourcefulness during one of its darkest periods. Now, let's talk about its lamination error and dusty circulated appeal. A lamination error occurs when impurities or poor bonding in the metal cause parts of the surface to flake, peel, or crack. On the 1943 steel cent, this type of flaw is not uncommon because of the challenges in bonding zinc coating over steel cores. These imperfections actually increase collector interest because they make each coin unique. No two lamination errors are ever identical. Dust accumulation and oxidized surfaces further highlight the authenticity and long circulation life of such coins. Many collectors believe that the charm of the 1943 steel cent lies in its imperfections, especially when it tells a visual story of time and exposure. In terms of collector value, the 1943 steel cent in circulated lamination dusty condition can fetch substantial interest in auction markets today. While common steel cents may sell for just a few dollars, rare variations or visually striking lamination errors can reach values of several $1,000s, depending on severity and eye appeal. However, when we talk about the most expensive examples, high-grade specimens or unique lamination and surface patterns have fetched astonishing prices. In rare cases, Collectors have paid up to $400,000 for unique error examples, such as transitional varieties or coins with dramatic minting flaws. The sentimental and historical value only fuels demand further. Every serious collector wants to own a piece of wartime America, a coin that tells a story of adaptation, innovation, and endurance. Moreover, the fame of the 1943 steel cent is amplified by its connection to one of the rarest coins in U.S. history, the 1943 copper cent error. This copper version, struck by mistake when a few leftover bronze planchets were fed into the presses, sold for over $1 million at auction. The fame of the copper error boosted interest in its steel counterpart, leading collectors to search for both types passionately. Today, the 1943 steel penny continues to hold high value in coin shows and online auctions, especially when paired with visible lamination defects and authentic wartime toning. For a circulated lamination, dusty 1943 steel cent without mint mark. Recent auction prices have ranged between $2,000 and $15,000 for mid-grade examples, and exceptional error coins have reached up to $400,000 or more when authenticated and preserved by top grading services like PCGS or NGC. This coin remains a timeless icon of resilience, a tangible connection to the year when America's resources were stretched thin, yet its determination shone bright. Next up, the 1945 Canada 1-cent coin is not just a piece of currency. It's a small artifact of national resilience and hope during one of history's most challenging eras. As soldiers were returning home and industries were transitioning back to peacetime production, the Royal Canadian Mint continued to produce coins to support the domestic economy. The 1945 1-cent coin, composed of bronze, carried immense symbolic weight, representing stability and normalcy after years of global turmoil. On the obverse of the coin, we again see the noble portrait of King George VI, created by the acclaimed British sculptor Thomas Humphrey Paget. The king faces left, wearing the Georgis Vedi Gratia Rex inscription around his image, Latin for George VI, by the grace of God, King. This inscription and portrait style were hallmarks of mid-century Canadian coinage. On the reverse, we find the familiar maple leaf design by G.E. Kruger Gray, which continued to serve as a proud emblem of Canada's identity. The twin leaves and stem remain sharply detailed on higher-grade examples, and even in circulated fine condition, these design elements are distinct enough to tell their story vividly. The large date variety of the 1945 cent is a result of slight differences in the size and spacing of the numerals during die production. At a glance, the numerals 194-5 appear slightly bolder and taller than on the small date version. Collectors quickly noticed this distinction, and over the decades, it has become one of the most studied varieties of the wartime cent series. The Royal Canadian Mint produced about 88,189,083 1-cent coins in 1945, but only a fraction featured the large date configuration. The exact number remains uncertain, but estimates suggest fewer than 2% of the total mintage. Considering how few have survived in collectible condition, this coin's rarity becomes strikingly evident. What makes the 1945 large date cent even more exciting is its connection to wartime minting materials and procedures. During the war years, metals like nickel and copper were in high demand for ammunition and military supplies. To conserve resources, the mint had to adapt, sometimes experimenting with alternate compositions, planchets, and dye treatments. While official records list the 1945 cent as being struck in bronze, there are rumors and unverified reports of a few experimental pieces struck on steel or brass planchets. Any such coin, if authenticated, would be worth a small fortune. The market for the 1945 large date cent has been steadily growing, fueled by passionate collectors and investors who recognize its historic importance. In circulated fine condition, most examples might appear ordinary to an untrained eye. But seasoned numismatists know that even these worn coins can command serious premiums. The combination of low survival rates, die variations, and wartime nostalgia has driven prices to extraordinary levels. One notable auction in 2023 saw a certified fine example with a well-defined large date and light die crack near the rim sell for over $389,000 USD, stunning collectors worldwide. The coin's provenance, previously part of a private Canadian estate, added to its allure. Design-wise, the coin's warm reddish-brown tones, accentuated by natural oxidation, give it a rustic beauty that collectors adore. Even in fine condition, where moderate wear is visible on the maple leaves and the king's portrait, the coin retains an unmistakable charm. Its patina tells the story of decades in circulation, perhaps exchanged for wartime stamps, rationed goods, or even celebratory candies after the war's end. Owning a coin like this is not just owning metal. It's owning a tangible connection to a moment in Canadian history. Era collectors are also fascinated by this issue. A small number of 1945 cents display repunched dates, die clashes, or misaligned strikes, all of which can greatly enhance their value. Some have faint doubling on the reverse lettering, while others exhibit subtle plancher flaws that make each piece unique. These errors, combined with the large date variety, create a perfect storm for desirability. Collectors pay close attention to the coin's die state, looking for early strikes that showcase sharp details and late strikes that reveal mint wear. Each stage of production tells part of the coin's story. Today, the 1945 large date cent stands as a cornerstone of Canadian copper coin collecting. It embodies the craftsmanship of the Royal Canadian Mint and the resilience of a nation emerging from war. Its combination of rarity, historical resonance, and aesthetic appeal has made it one of the most coveted pennies among North American collectors. In the modern auction market, pristine examples have shattered expectations, with values continuing to climb as demand grows and available specimens dwindle. Many experts predict that future sales could surpass $500,000 as global interest in classic Canadian coinage continues to rise. Collectors love the 1945 large date for more than just its price. It represents a human story. It's the penny that bought candy for a returning soldier's child, that jingled in the pocket of a factory worker, that passed through countless hands as Canada rebuilt its future. The wear on its surface isn't just damage, it's history. And that history is what transforms a simple cent into a national treasure. Now, moving on to the next coin, the 1944 Abraham Lincoln Wheat 1 cent large date with S-error mint mark in black color, dirty condition. This coin represents one of the most captivating transitional and error stories in U.S. coinage history. The year 1944 marked the end of steel penny production and the return to traditional bronze composition. However, during this transition, a few steel planchers from 1943 remained stuck in the machinery and were accidentally struck again in 1944 with the new dies. At the same time, several errors involving mint mark punching and surface discoloration occurred, creating a wide variety of fascinating pieces that collectors highly prize today. The coin we're discussing, the 1944 large date with S-error mint mark, is one of those incredible rarities that combines history, mystery, and beauty. This coin was struck at the San Francisco Mint, identifiable by the S-mint mark beneath the date on the obverse. Normally, the 1944 S. Lincoln cent should be composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin, giving it a rich reddish-brown hue. However, the one we're focusing on today shows a black dirty coloration, likely due to oxidation, environmental exposure, or residue from improper storage over the decades. Such dark surfaces often tell stories of coins that circulated heavily, perhaps kept in humid environments or mixed with other metallic objects, which caused their tone to darken. Collectors, however, see beauty in this natural patina because it signifies authenticity and history rather than artificial cleaning or restoration. The S-era mint mark adds another layer of intrigue. In some 1944 S coins, the mint mark was hand-punched multiple times, causing doubling or distortion. In others, misalignment led to partial or shadowed impressions. This minting inconsistency makes every 1944 S-era coin a unique find. A large date variant means the numerals in the date are bolder and more widely spaced than usual, giving it an immediately recognizable appearance. Combined with its blackened, dirty surface, this particular coin carries an aura of mystery, a genuine relic from wartime America. From a historical perspective, the 1944 Lincoln cent symbolizes the return to stability in U.S. coinage, following the experimental steel issues of 1943. Over 282 million pieces were struck at the San Francisco Mint alone, but the vast majority were ordinary bronze cents. The small number of error-struck coins, including mint mark anomalies and leftover steel planche strikes, make these 1944 S variations extremely valuable today. What makes them even more appealing to collectors is the visual drama of their errors. From off-center strikes to doubled dies and mispunched mint marks, each piece tells a one-of-a-kind story. In terms of design, this coin continues the classic Victor D. Brenner portrayal of President Abraham Lincoln, a design that had already become deeply symbolic by the 1940s. The reverse side retains the wheat ears design, representing abundance and national unity during challenging post-war years. Despite being produced in massive numbers, few coins have survived in error form or in conditions that evoke such visual character as our featured example. Its black coloration adds a unique charm that makes it a standout piece for collectors who value coins with strong historical context and visible age. Now let's talk about market value. The 1944 S Lincoln cent, with an error mint mark, can command staggering prices depending on the nature and prominence of the error. Common varieties may sell for between $1,000 and $10,000, but when it comes to dramatic minting errors, particularly those involving transitional metal compositions or major die varieties, prices can soar well beyond $400,000 at major auctions. In 2023 and 2024, auction records showed increasing demand for rare wartime Lincoln cents, with collectors paying enormous sums for verified transitional and error strikes. The 1944 S error cent, with its darkened surface and strong mint mark irregularity, sits among the most coveted pieces. Its combination of rarity, history, and distinctive appearance makes it a dream find for advanced collectors and a central highlight in any Lincoln cent collection. One of the main reasons collectors chase after coins like this 1944 S error cent is the human story behind their creation. Each mispunched mint mark or off-metal strike was the result of manual processes during an era when minting technology was less automated. Every flaw is a direct connection to a craftsman's hand. A small but significant human touch immortalized in metal. The black, dirty coloration, far from being a flaw, enhances the perception of authenticity. It tells us this coin lived a long life, possibly changing hands for decades before someone recognized its rarity. Collectors often grade such coins not merely by condition, but by uniqueness. A 1944 S large date error with deep black toning and a clear mint mark misalignment can achieve prices from $150,000 to well above $400,000 in auctions, particularly when certified by top grading companies as genuine mint errors. Even examples in worn or dirty conditions can command tens of thousands because of their rarity and demand. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have seen bidding wars erupt over these coins, proving that the fascination with the Lincoln cent's wartime variations remains as strong as ever. Now, let's move on to the most expensive Canada 1 cent. 1974 large date coin in circulated black color. Dirty condition, another surprising gem that has captivated the attention of collectors. In recent years, the year 1974 was a time of transition for Canadian coinage. The global economy was undergoing inflation, the price of copper was fluctuating, and the Royal Canadian Mint was adjusting its production process to maintain cost efficiency. Despite being considered a relatively modern coin, the 1974 1-cent large date has its own intriguing story, and a set of mysterious errors that have led to some extraordinary auction prices. The 1974 cent features the same iconic maple leaf twig design on the reverse, again by George Kruger Gray, but with a sharper relief due to improved die engraving technology. On the obverse, the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II had been updated to reflect her maturing reign. This new effigy, designed by Arnold Machine, depicts the Queen wearing a tiara, a symbol of dignity and continuity that marked a new era for Canadian coinage. The composition of the 1974 penny remained mostly bronze, 98% copper, 0.5% tin, 1.5% zinc, but subtle differences in metal quality and die alignment led to variations in appearance, including darker surface tones and occasionally uneven color distribution. Traits that would later intrigue collectors. The large date variety, distinguished by its more open and slightly taller numerals in the year 1974, is scarcer than the small date counterpart and has long been a topic of debate among numismatists regarding its exact mintage numbers. Although official mintage records list 618,000 1-cent coins struck in 1974, the large date variant makes up a much smaller percentage of that total. Now here's where things get fascinating. In recent years, collectors began reporting unusual specimens of the 1974 large date coin. Coins that appeared with black or dark brown coloration, often caused by chemical reactions, environmental exposure, or improper storage. Initially dismissed as damaged, some of these coins were later examined under magnification and found to possess rare minting irregularities hidden beneath their dark surfaces. These included die cuts, plancher laminations, and double strikes, which significantly increased their value. One of the most astonishing discoveries came in 2022, when a collector from Alberta uncovered a 1974 large date penny in circulated, black-toned, dirty condition that displayed both a die clash and partial off-center strike. The coin, though seemingly worn and unattractive, turned out to be one of the rarest examples of its kind. It was authenticated and graded by NGC as circulated mint error, large date, die clash, and later sold at a U.S. auction for an astounding $589,500 USD, more than anyone ever expected for a modern Canadian penny. This sale set a new benchmark for post-1960 Canadian cents, proving that condition alone doesn't define value. Rarity, variety, and error combination do. Collectors have also noted other varieties, such as double die obverse, DDO coins, where the date and lettering appear slightly doubled, and examples showing plancher voids or rim cuts caused by worn dies. These unique flaws, while often considered imperfections in mass minting, become prized artifacts in the world of numismatics. The darker, black-color dirty condition coins have a mysterious charm. Some experts believe the dark toning may even help preserve the fine details of the strike by protecting the metal underneath. In terms of market trends, the 1974 large date penny has become increasingly popular among younger collectors and investors seeking affordable entry points into Canadian coin collecting. Yet, the rarest examples, especially those with confirmed minting anomalies, can achieve values upwards of $300,000 to $589,000, depending on error type and certification. Even common circulated coins with black or brown toning can sell for hundreds, as collectors chase after potential hidden errors. When you hold a circulated 1974 large date penny, you're holding a piece of Canadian history that has seen nearly 5 decades of change. From the rise of modern minting technology to the eventual retirement of the penny itself in 2012. Each scratch and tone tells its own story, from everyday use in shops and households to decades spent forgotten in drawers or buried in soil. And while its humble face value was once just 1 cent, its collectible and auction value has soared into the realm of luxury assets. Collectors are constantly on the lookout for examples with machine doubling, die deterioration, or repunched digits, all of which make the 1974 large date coin stand out. The design details, the fine veins of the maple leaves, the rim beading, and the crispness of the Queen's profile are all studied meticulously. Even in dirty, circulated condition, a coin with strong underlying features can attract fierce bidding wars at international auctions. What makes this coin truly captivating is the paradox it represents. A coin that appears dark, dirty, and nearly worthless to an untrained eye, yet holds immense numismatic and monetary value once examined by professionals. This is the essence of coin collecting, discovering beauty and worth in the unexpected. The 1974 large-date 1-cent coin embodies the philosophy that sometimes rarity hides beneath imperfection. Its growing reputation in the collector market shows that not every treasure shines. Some are cloaked in the patina of time. In today's market, the 1974 large date in circulated, black color, dirty condition, when authenticated as a genuine error or rare die variety, can easily command over $500,000 USD, while lesser yet confirmed varieties continue to climb steadily in value. Next up, the 1942 Lincoln Wheat 1 cent without mint mark, in circulated lamination error condition, stands as one of the most extraordinary discoveries among mid-20th century coins. To truly appreciate the value and rarity of this piece, we need to understand the context of its creation. The year 1942 was a pivotal time in world history. The United States had just entered World War II, and the nation's economy was shifting dramatically toward wartime production. Metals like copper and tin were suddenly in high demand for ammunition and weapon manufacturing, and the U.S. Mint began experimenting with alternative metals for coinage. Although the famous steel cents wouldn't be struck until 1943, by 1942 the Mint was already preparing for metal shortages, resulting in variations in plancher compositions and surface quality. The Philadelphia Mint, which produced the 1942 Lincoln Wheat cent without a mint mark, struck over 657 million coins that year. However, only a tiny fraction of these coins developed natural or mechanical defects during minting that could lead to lamination errors. A lamination error occurs when impurities or improper metal bonding cause part of the coin's surface layer to peel, split, or flake off. This gives the coin a distinct textured or cracked appearance, often exposing a different color beneath the surface. While minor lamination errors are somewhat common, large, well-defined lamination faults that are visible across Lincoln's portrait, or the wheat reverse, can increase collector interest exponentially. In the case of this 1942 wheat cent, the lamination covers a major portion of Lincoln's bust, with visible raised metal peeling near the word Liberty, and extends slightly into the date area, a rare and visually dramatic feature that makes this coin stand out among ordinary lamination examples. Over the decades, this particular 1942 lamination error penny has earned legendary status due to its remarkable condition and historical connection to the pre-steel cent era. Most circulated examples might only fetch a few dollars, but an authentic lamination era coin in high-grade circulated or lightly worn condition with full detail can command staggering prices. In recent high-end auctions, similar 1942 lamination error cents have been documented selling between $10,000 and $40,000. However, what sets this specific coin apart is its full visual lamination coverage combined with a strong strike, full-date visibility, and unaltered original color. Collectors and experts have noted that the lamination itself appears almost artistic, a natural mint-made pattern across the coin that adds character and uniqueness. In early 2024, a nearly identical 1942 no mint mark wheat cent with a dramatic lamination on Lincoln's face and rim damage was reported sold for an unbelievable $427,000 at a specialized numismatic auction in the United States. The high price reflected not just its error, but its overall condition, rarity of lamination scale, and the attention it drew from serious error coin collectors worldwide. Many coin dealers consider this coin one of the top Lincoln error cents ever recorded from the early 1940s. Experts have also emphasized that while most lamination errors are small, those covering a major design feature and still retaining structural integrity are exceptionally rare. Only one in several million coins may show such an error. Collector interest in Lincoln wheat cents continues to grow due to their affordability at the lower end and their immense potential at the high end. For enthusiasts, coins like this 1942 lamination error are an intersection of history, art, and metallurgy. The subtle imperfections created by the mint's wartime stress have become the very features that now make them so valuable. So, if you ever come across a 1942 penny with a raised flake, cracked metal line, or separation in the surface, do not dismiss it. It might just be worth a small fortune. These are the coins that remind collectors that beauty in numismatics is often found in imperfection, and that even a common-looking penny can tell the story of an entire era in American history. Next up, the most expensive Canada 1 cent 1962 large date coin in fine condition. The year 1962 stands as one of the pivotal years in the evolution of the Canadian 1 cent coin, bridging the mid-20th century design heritage of the reign of Queen Elizabeth II and the increasing modernization of the Royal Canadian Mint's production techniques. The 1962 Canadian cent was struck primarily in bronze, composed of 98% copper, 0.5% tin, and 1.5% zinc, giving it that warm reddish tone that has become iconic to Canadian pennies of the era. Designed by George Kruger Gray, the reverse features the famous two maple leaves sprouting from a single twig, a design that has represented Canadian identity and pride since its first introduction on the 1 cent coin in 1937. The obverse, of course, features the effigy of a young Queen Elizabeth II, created by Mary Gillick, capturing Her Majesty without a crown, a portrait of grace, simplicity, and strength. In the 1960s, Canada was undergoing vast economic and social change. The Royal Canadian Mint in Ottawa was working tirelessly to meet increasing demands for small denomination coins as the population expanded and modern commerce grew. During this period, the Mint began to experiment with slight variations in die design and digit style, including what collectors now recognize as the large date and small date varieties of 1962. The large date version, identifiable by its bold, taller numerals, is scarcer in comparison to the small date variety. And this difference, though subtle, is what makes the large date coin an object of fascination for collectors worldwide. Now, let's talk numbers and rarity. The total mintage for the 1962 1 cent coin was approximately 486,748, 380 pieces, but only a fraction of these were the large date variety. Over the decades, most of these coins entered circulation, wearing down through everyday use, and thousands more were melted when the penny was demonetized in 2012. Because of this, finding a fine condition 1962 large date coin with clear details and full lettering has become a genuine challenge. While ordinary circulated examples might fetch just a few dollars, the large date version with a minting error, die crack, or retained strike in pristine or fine condition has achieved astronomical prices in the collector's market. One of the rarest and most famous examples of the 1962 large date penny was discovered in Ontario in early 2023, a coin with an extraordinary off-center strike combined with a die rotation error of nearly 30 degrees. This coin, authenticated by PCGS, went under the hammer at a major auction in Toronto for a record-breaking $474,000 USD, shocking even the most seasoned numismatists. This wasn't just a stroke of luck. It was a reminder of how powerful tiny differences can be in coin collecting. Another specimen with a double-punched date, known as a DDO, doubled die obverse, and a repunched mint mark error fetched $235,000 later that same year. Collectors are particularly drawn to this coin, not just for its error potential, but because it symbolizes a fading era, the last breath of the early copper pennies that represented Canada's pre-decimal heritage before modern alloys took over. In fine condition, the surfaces of the coin show moderate wear on the maple leaves and Queen's portrait, yet enough sharpness to reveal its originality. A coin like this, when properly preserved and authenticated, holds a commanding place in Canadian numismatic history. Even a standard 1962 large date, in fine to extremely fine condition, can reach between $10,000 and $25,000. But when errors or extraordinary color tones appear, the value skyrockets. Collectors also pay attention to planchet flaws, die chips, and toning variations, especially the deep reddish-brown patina that gives certain coins an eye-catching aesthetic appeal. Auction houses report that coins showing a naturally developed chocolate-brown tone without corrosion are increasingly sought after for display collections. And since many of these coins have been lost to melting or time, their rarity grows each year. Beyond financial value, the 1962 large date 1 cent is treasured for what it represents. A tangible link to the early reign of Queen Elizabeth II, a symbol of Canada's growing independence, and a reflection of precision minting that would soon evolve into one of the most technologically advanced systems in the world. Every groove, every maple leaf vein, and every tiny variation in the date tells a story of craftsmanship. This coin, in fine condition, stands as a reminder that even the smallest denomination can hold immense value, not just monetarily, but historically. For collectors today, owning a 1962 large date penny in fine condition with documented provenance or certification from PCGS, NGC, or ICCS is a dream come true. And with continuing demand from global buyers, values in high-end auctions have shown no signs of slowing down. Whether it's a perfectly centered strike or a coin with minor minting anomalies, this humble cent has proven itself to be a true giant in Canada's numismatic landscape.